A completely black or blank frame with no visible content.
The first thing on our program this morning is to open Core of Discovery 2 with a prayer and a blessing and a song. And Videl and Ruby Stump from the Rocky Boy Indian Reservation have come down to do that for us. Both are Cree Indians. They are also both members of the Bear Clan. And Ruby and Videl, would you please come up? And we would ask that you would stand for the prayer, blessing, and song. And ladies, have your husbands remove their hats.
Can you hear me? Good morning, everyone. I hope you all got up with a good feeling with your families, your loved ones, your children, grandkids. And we're really happy to be here with you folks under the tent of many voices. And my husband will give you a welcome prayer song to bless all of us this morning, to bless everyone in the whole wide world. And after that, he'll do a prayer for us to open the great event that us Montanans are going to host. And we're going to welcome people from all over the world. We are going to play host as Montanans from different counties of Montana. Thank you.
A person wearing a white fur headdress and red and black clothing stands at a wooden podium. Another person in a blue jacket stands nearby. The setting appears to be an indoor venue with stage lighting. A person in a red outfit and white feathered headdress stands at a wooden podium. Another person in a blue jacket stands nearby. They are on a small stage with blue backdrop panels.
Hei mamma tainans mi vain se mando eduskunnassa komdano mutta sonne ni poja akot. Kiama dos ni gimnan kun minä mahtoon kas mis vistut aks. Minua tai sinua magnos no tainan se mando. Kiameksi suitsinä. Minun mutta kai vei ngonot magana no mutta kai vei ngonot masuna no sanos mis kun magnoja e viu.
Three people in tan uniforms stand on a stage near a person wearing a blue jacket with red and multicolored beading. A decorative eagle emblem is visible on the left side of the stage.
Please be seated. I want to thank the Stumps for coming here this morning. They have been one of the treasures that we have discovered along the Lewis and Clark Trail during the Bicentennial, and they are almost part of the family here at Corps of Discovery 2. They do a lot of, their lives are about service to their own people and to young people especially, and their post-retirement career is about guidance for young people, for people who have drug and alcohol problems. They talk to young families, help people raise children. They're a wonderful asset to the world and to their Cree people especially. Our first speaker this morning is Doug Monger, who is the Chief Administrator for Montana State Parks. And that is almost as dry a title as I have as Public Information Officer. But I also know Doug as a friend and a friend to Montana. So Doug?
Thank you. As administrator of the state park system, it's my honor to welcome you here today, and as if you wouldn't feel any more welcome without me being here. The welcoming of Giant Springs State Park is second to none in the Great Falls area, I think. It's a great pleasure and an honor for state parks to be able to host the Corps 2 and all of the Lewis and Clark festivities here, and we'd like to thank the Explore the Big Sky for thinking of the state park system as you planned your events here. It's a great honor and a pleasure to have you all here. State parks are, we view ourselves as a link and as a bridge between people and their past, people and the cultures, different cultures, as well as a link and a bridge between people and the real Montana. And we think that in the 50 state parks, including Giant Springs State Park, you'll find a real piece of the real Montana. So as you're here in Montana or in the Great Falls area exploring the Big Sky and exploring the Lewis and Clark, I'd invite you out to our other state parks as well. Pishkin's just right on the edge of town, quick little drive out, and all of our facilities this week for you are free. In fact, all of our state parks are now free for day use because of a $4 fee on license plate. So welcome to Great Falls, welcome to state parks, and enjoy yourselves. Thank you.
Thanks, Doug. Our next speaker is Roger Semler, and he is the Region 4 Parks Manager for the state of Montana. And Roger is our host for Corps of Discovery 2 here in Great Falls. And Roger has a few welcome.
A person in a light gray polo shirt stands at a wooden podium with a seal, holding a microphone. The indoor setting has exposed ceiling infrastructure with bright lights above and a dark backdrop behind them.
Remarks, and would like to acknowledge some of the other people that have helped make Corps 2 here in Great Falls a possibility. Roger?
Thank you. Good morning. It's a real pleasure to be able to host Corps 2 here at Giant Springs State Park. It's been an effort from a lot of partnerships and folks around the community here, and I'd like to acknowledge and thank some of those here publicly. If you look across the big field here behind us, you'll notice a first aid tent way over here, and that's being staffed for the next 10 days by the Benefice Healthcare professionals, and that'll include RNs and paramedics. So we have good first aid services from 12 noon to 8 p.m. each day for the next 10 days. You might also notice out front here at the entrance we have some free bottled water from Source Giant Springs, and they have graciously offered unlimited quantities of bottled water for the next 10 days for our folks here, and we expect it will get hot, and so please partake of that generous contribution. I'd also like to acknowledge the Army National Guard, and they've got a neat little camp set up right behind the bushes over here. And if any of you particularly are veterans, please go over and visit with those folks. Or even if you're not a vet, go visit with those folks and show our respect and honor to our National Guard, who is obviously doing a great service as we speak. Lastly, I'd like to thank Videl and Ruby Financial Services. Their personnel will be staffing what's known as the welcome desk over here in the exhibit area, as volunteers along with National Park Service personnel. And that's another generous contribution from that organization that we really appreciate. I too would like to thank the Explore Big Sky signature event organization for allowing us to serve as the host. And lastly, I'd like to thank a number of our Region 4 Parks employees who have worked very diligently for many months trying to get this venue set up. You might notice if you're a regular here, there's a number of new improvements right even behind us here and in this parking lot and such. My staff has worked very hard to bring this about, and I want to thank them myself for that. I encourage you all to interact and visit with our park staff. You'll notice we're wearing the yellow bearhead patch on our shirts. You'll see a number of us around the area, both here and across the road at Giant Springs. Please feel free to visit with us, ask us questions, and allow us to serve you in any way we can. Thank you and have a great day.
Thanks, Roger. Peggy Bourne is our next speaker, and Peggy is the director of Explore the Big Sky. It's to
A person in a light gray polo shirt stands at a wooden podium with a circular seal, holding a microphone. The setting appears to be indoors with dark curtains in the background and overhead lighting.
her shoulders that all of the responsibilities for putting on the nation's longest signature event, and action-packed, and there's a lot of other descriptions you can use. It is the largest undertaking of any bicentennial signature event in the United States. So please welcome Peggy Bourne.
Good afternoon, everyone. It's my pleasure to be here today. On June 3rd, we welcomed Corps 2 to the first part of the signature event in Fort Benton, and we experienced torrential downpour, and it's nice to be in the tent without competing with the rain sounds. And I'd also like to welcome Corps 2 back to Explore the Big Sky. They were here for the first 10 days of the event, and then they went around to one other place, I believe, and then they're back. And they're going to be back here for the rest of the event. And this is truly a wonderful asset to the entire Explore the Big Sky event. There are a few people out here, before I talk a little bit about Explore the Big Sky, that I'd also like to recognize. As Jeff said, Explore the Big Sky is by far the longest of the signature events in the nation. We're the 10th out of 15, and we're a 34-day event. And we did that for a lot of different reasons, mainly so that we had the chance to tell the story of when Lewis and Clark were here 200 years ago. Their time here was filled with a lot of adventure, a lot of decisions, illness, and a lot of endurance and strength, and we wanted to take that time to tell that story. There are a lot of people here in the audience that I'd like to recognize and thank. It certainly isn't my undertaking. I was privileged to be able to be called the executive director, but certainly there were a lot of people working with me. First of all, I'd like to thank Jane Weber, if you can just raise your hand, and she's been instrumental in the planning of the event. Chris Dantic in the back, if you want to raise your hand, he's also been very instrumental in the planning. Videl and Ruby Stump, you had an opportunity to meet them earlier. And I don't see anyone else out there, but every time I do this, I know I miss somebody. So if I miss you, I apologize. There's one other person I'd like to introduce to you, someone who sits on the National Council for the Lewis and Clark Bicentennial and is here visiting from Oregon. And Bobby, if you could stand up, Bobby Connor. It's through leadership like hers and the rest of the members of the Bicentennial Commission and National Bicentennial Commission that truly allowed this nation to begin the planning and commemoration of the Lewis and Clark expedition. Thank you so much for all your hard work. As you've heard, we've got a 34-day event going on.
A person in a light gray polo shirt stands at a wooden podium with a circular seal, holding a microphone. Industrial ceiling with exposed pipes and bright lights is visible above in an indoor venue.
We have 10 days left, and the last 10 days, we're just going to ramp up for an amazing amount of opportunities and programs and activities. And if you haven't had a chance to experience any, boy, have you picked a great time to start. Not only do we have Core 2 here, which we're very blessed to have, but on July 3rd, we'll also be having a really special service, if you will, at Giant Springs. And we're calling it an inspirational interfaith service. And there are a lot of people from around the Great Falls community have come together to plan this worship service, if you will. 65-member choir. There will be a smudging ceremony. There will be a lot of special entertainment, readings from the journal, and it's just an opportunity for us to sit at the riverside and just celebrate diversity and appreciate who we all are and all the differences that we bring to the table, and the fact that that's what makes the world go round. We're also, in the next 10 days, we'll be hosting an opera, a Rita Coolidge concert. We'll have the Upper Portage reenactment campsite going. We'll have a symposium that is just truly a world landmark type of an event where we're bringing together a phenomenal amount of tribal leaders from around the nation to talk about the issues that they've faced in the past, the tribes have faced in the past, in the present, and the future. Ruby and Videl have been very involved with planning the tribal games, the International Traditional Tribal Games. And if you get a chance to go out to Montana Expo Park beginning June 29th, you'll have an opportunity to see and play, if you're interested in, some of the traditional games that the tribes have played over the last several hundred years. We'll also be hosting a powwow. There will be wonderful horse events at Montana Expo Park, a tribal village that I'm told will have anywhere between 20 and 30 lodges there. We have tours, bus tours every day, and float trips every day. We have speaking opportunities for people to listen, and some of the local experts and national experts on the Lewis and Clark expedition. And then finally on July 4th, the grand finale of the event, we're moving everything to Montana Expo Park and planning a grand celebration of our country's independence, as well as celebrating the second Independence Day that Lewis and Clark and the Corps spent on the trail. I promise you a high-energy, high-packed day full of entertainment, family fun, a lot of food, especially if you like buffalo beef, suet dumplings, and beans and bacon, which was the menu that was served 200 years ago. But I want to welcome you today, and I want to welcome you to Explore the Big Sky. I want to thank everybody for all your hard work, and I want to welcome Core 2 back.
Thanks, Peggy. I recognized somebody in the audience when I started to think about thanking the people that make the Bicentennial.
A person in a light gray polo shirt stands at a wooden podium with a seal, holding a microphone. The setting appears to be an indoor venue with overhead lighting and dark background.
Bicentennial and make Core 2 possible. And that's Clint Blackwood from the Montana Bicentennial Commission. Clint, could you stand up and show everybody your haircut? I actually met Clint when I was in a previous life as a newspaper editor and reporter, writing about Lewis and Clark. I have this sickness, this Lewis and Clark-itis that Dayton Duncan talks about, and that's how it came to be that I left newspapers and came to the world of Lewis and Clark. And it's okay. It's an illness that we can deal with on a daily basis. We have a 12-step program to deal with Lewis and Clark-itis. And mostly we just have a lot of fun and open our hearts about the huge story, I call it an epic, about America that Lewis and Clark is. Our next speaker is Great Falls Mayor Randy Gray, and these are one of the difficult introductions I have to do, especially when I'm in the heart of Lewis and Clark country, because I have to be careful about what I say about what Lewis and Clark did in this neighborhood. I'm responsible for trying to tell the entire story to the news media when I get to town. I'm not even going to dare say anything about Lewis and Clark and Great Falls. Randy has been at the head or near the head of city government for the past 10 years. He's also a Lewis and Clarkie. I've seen him at the 12-step meetings. And his father-in-law is also a Lewis and Clarkie, and as many people here in the audience are also members of the Portage Route chapter of the Lewis and Clark Trail Heritage Foundation, another one of the partners and the entities that make Core 2 and this bicentennial possible. So I'm just wondering what Randy is going to talk about as far as Lewis and Clark goes. So Mayor, if you would.
Geez, Jeff, that's a tough introduction to follow. I'd like to talk about my last 3 days. I had the opportunity on canoe to float the lower portion of the wild and scenic Missouri, the Missouri Breaks National Monument, from the mouth of the Judith down to the takeout point at Fred Robinson Bridge. And in 200 years, that country is, for those young people in the audience here, all of you are young people in the audience, if you haven't been down there, you need to go. You need to spend 3 days in that river, kind of slowing down life's pace and feel what Lewis and Clark might have felt, at least going downriver. Now, we didn't try portaging, pulling our canoes upriver. I understand that's a lot of work. We might try that next year. But one of the scenes we saw while we were down there was a Swainson's hawk had picked up about whatever that is, a 3-foot snake. And it was holding on for dear life to that snake because it was probably the meal for some young hawks. And so this snake...
A person in a light gray polo shirt stands at a wooden podium with a circular seal, holding a microphone. The setting appears to be indoors under bright overhead lights, with dark background and visible ceiling infrastructure.
Swinging underneath that Swainson's hawk as it's trying to get elevation, and a couple of little cowbirds or something were attacking that Swainson's hawk from the back. Just bing, bing, bing like this. I don't know what the hawk did to those little guys, but they were really after that hawk. And we watched for about 3 or 4 minutes, and that hawk was able to hang on to that snake and yet get away from those little birds, and we finally saw it land and kind of, get a better grip on the hawk. So my point of all this is tenaciousness finally wins the day. And this partnership that you've heard talked about up here has been a partnership of tenacity. We've had the state, we've had the U.S. Forest Service, we've had the National Park Service. Very, very importantly, we've had Native Americans join in this partnership. And what I would really like to thank today is the Stumps for being here, because what I see going on in this Lewis and Clark Bicentennial, I was up at the event in Fort Benton, I watched the ballet here in Great Falls, I heard Earl Oldperson speak at the commemoration that we had at the airport just a couple of days ago, where we commemorated an eagle that Centene sponsored for the airport. And what I'm seeing and feeling and hearing over and over and over again is finally we're bridging some cultural gaps here. We have some appreciation of white culture for native culture that was here long before we were here. So I would like to pay special tribute to the Stumps and to this partnership that includes Native Americans, that maybe white people finally come to understand their culture and their way of life. I also would like to pay a special thank you to our military members who are in the audience today. After all, the Lewis and Clark expedition was, number one, an Army expedition. It was a military expedition. It was a mission of engaging in commerce with the native people that were here, a mission of exploration. It was a military expedition. And just down the road, actually up the road just a ways here, for those of you who aren't from the Great Falls area, we are building a Montana Veterans Memorial on the ballpark. There's a nice bluff right by the ballpark. It's got the best view of Great Falls, looks right up the river to the Sun River where it comes out of the Rocky Mountains, Sawtooth Mountains on the left, and if you stop at that high point, it's one of the best views in Great Falls. So to all of our military, to the Stumps, to all of you, I welcome all of you to this event, and I would like to thank the partnership that has come together through great tenacity to make this event happen. Thanks very much.
Well, there's still 20 minutes to go to the next program, so that's what you get. You get me for 20 minutes.
A person in a light gray polo shirt stands at a wooden podium with a seal, holding a microphone. They are indoors under bright overhead lights, with dark fabric backdrop behind them.
Or not. You know, Mayor, that was a great visual picture that you painted with the hawk and the snake, and it took me back actually to a grocery shopping expedition with my 3 sons when they were about 4, 5, and 6. If I looked a little weird when I was sitting up there. And I never thought about perseverance. I just thought, I got to get through this. My wife sent me to do this project. I've got to survive. Maybe I won't have to do it again. Partnerships is a word that's been used a lot this morning already, and you're going to hear it a lot for the next 10 days. When you look at Montana Parks employees that are here, the rangers, their uniforms you'll find look just like ours. And I think if you did a poll around here, you probably couldn't tell the difference. There are a lot of other people that are going to be in uniform as well. Master Sergeant Ted Reichert and the Montana National Guard are here. They are not our new best friends, but they are our best friends because they help us bring Corps 2 when we get to town. They help us get everything out of the truck and get it set up to look like it does today. And there are many other partnerships. In fact, we're going to miss Ted and the Guard because when we get to the Idaho border, they're going to leave us. But they are simply going to hand us off to another National Guard group. And when we leave Idaho, we're going to be handed off to the Washington National Guard. And if you look around, gentlemen, if you wanted to stand for a second, the National Guard from Washington has representatives here, and Ted and the group are training them. Thank you. Thank you. This was nothing, this is something that's going on now that the National Guard has stepped up, and this is just one of the things that they do to help the National Park Service and all of our partners set up Corps 2 everywhere we go, and to help put things away when we move to the next community. That's another one of those things that have just come out of all the partnerships. And when I started in the Lewis and Clark world, I came from private industry, had been there my whole life. My first meeting was with something called the MOU group, and it was 40 different federal agencies, some private groups, and some state groups, and they were going to get together and do a Lewis and Clark project. And I tell you, after that first meeting, I didn't know if I wanted to go back. You talk about oxymoronic statements, and there are several. I'm here from the government, and I'm here to help. Things that the check is in the mail, things like that. I went back to the next meeting, and through all of this, people kept a goal in mind, and it was really a twofold goal. It was, we need to do something to commemorate the Lewis and Clark trip. We want to.
A person in a light gray polo shirt stands at a wooden podium with a circular seal, holding a microphone. The setting appears to be an indoor venue with dark walls, overhead lighting, and exposed pipes and cables visible above.
Help across state lines, and as federal agencies, we really need to do something together because we have a common mission, even though maybe individual agency missions are a little different. But anyway, at the end of this long process, it took about 6 months. And at the end of that, there came out this wonderful map that some of you will see. And it's a multi-agency, multi-state map that talks about Lewis and Clark, that shows you the route, and it's part of many travel packages now across the country. So at the end of that project, the newest member of the group said, well, this is great. What are we going to do next? And there was this little pause, and then laughter, and more laughter, and then belly laughs from everybody. And they said, we're the federal government, and we've done this, and this is great. Let's just count this as a gift and move on. But that wasn't all that happened. All of the federal agencies that I mentioned are still involved in Lewis and Clark. They're still involved in the Bicentennial. You will hear some of their representatives here at Corps 2 in the next 10 days. And they're going to do programs on everything from soup to nuts, from the Great Falls to animals, vegetables, and minerals along the trail. And of course, we're going to highlight this part of the Lewis and Clark Trail. So my thanks on behalf of the National Park Service and our Director, Fran Manella, and our Superintendent, Steve Adams, from the Lewis and Clark Trail. My thanks to all of our partners who are here, who've been with us, and who we will meet on the road in the future, like the Washington Guard. That's going to be it for our opening ceremonies. I'm going to turn the program over to Mary Ellen Ergel, who is one of the Rangers for Corps 2, and she will give you a little bit of an update on what we're going to do for the rest of the day. And we hope that you will stay for as little time as you can spend, or if you can spend all day with us, or come back anytime in the next 10 days. The price is free, and that price is the same every day. There's plenty of parking, And please tell your friends and neighbors about the experience that you had here and spread the word and just enjoy yourself. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And to all of you, thank you very much for coming out. There are some wonderful things to do. We do have our scale model keelboat out here in the back, our Plains Indian teepee over here to the side. And if you go out the back of the tent, there is a ramp going up there. If you would go up that way to visit both of those stations. We also have our exhibit tent over here to my right. And go through there. There's a 35-minute audio tour that you can take through the exhibit tent. Bill, my counterpart back here in the back, has programs for you. Stop and pick up a program. We have wonderful speakers all week long. Our next speaker will start at 1 o'clock, and that's Bobby Connor from the Human.
A person in a light blue polo shirt stands at a wooden podium with a circular seal, holding a microphone. The setting appears to be indoors under bright lights, with dark background and visible overhead infrastructure.
Matilla, people will be here to tell their side of the Lewis and Clark story. And there's many, many facets. So check out our schedule. Come back for any of our programs that will fit into your schedule as well. And thanks again for coming.